All right, welcome back. We are COMP1115, Game Programming 1 in the fall 2025 semester at Georgian. And it's week 4, part 1 of our broadcast and recording together. Week 4 already. And just going on with what we're going to talk about for a second. So we're here at loops. And last week, what we did was conditionals. We talked about if, else, and switch. Those are the 3 things we talked about. If, else, if. You know, that was kind of our pattern. And we also said that if, else, and if, else, else is one big statement. That's the thing to think about. So I think some of you got that it was one big statement. Some of you thought that each part was separate. If was separate than else, not true. If was separate than else if, also not true. They're all one big statement. And because they're all one big statement, you got to treat them as like one big thing, but different little clauses, almost like parts of a sentence, right? So that's how you have to think about them. We also talked about different operators, logical operators, relational operators. We talked about those, and also scope, right, which was a new concept, a box within a box within a box, as we keep talking about those things. And what scope means is that variables live, get born, if you will, allocated to memory, and then die within that little box, right? So they don't escape the box, there's curly braces, that they were born in, okay? So that's important to understand. And then we talked about the random class, because we said that you can't make, games without some kind of randomization. So that's what we did, kind of in the in this thing as well, right? Then we talked about get more commits that we did last week, and now this week what we're talking about is loops. So again, what we're trying to do is, I'm just going to make this a little bigger so we can see it both here and online. What we talked about is basics, fundamentals, building blocks, and that's what we're doing here too. Loops are another building block for you, right? And there's one more that I want to handle also today. I'm also going to give you a preview of methods. I want to talk about a little bit of methods today as well. So, and I'm doing a little bit of a preview of methods. We're going to hit them again later on this semester, of course. But I want to do a little bit of it because it's repeatable code, and we want to try and get you ready for Unity, right? Have you guys started Unity yet?
No, download.
It's coming. Right? And this way, before you get there, you've had some exposure to the language, so then when you start talking Unity, and we're going to start coding in Unity, then you know some of the constructs ahead of time so that you're not learning Unity cold, which would be very hard to do, okay? So that's what we want to get you into. Any questions before we go? And again, for the people online, if you have a question, for people on here, you can actually ask the question. All your marks are up to date, by the way, for people who got them in on time. So I'm going to continue to try and get all that out there to you. It's tough to mark so many of you, but I know that it helps with feedback. Please look at your feedback. It's important, right? I always try and put in individual feedback as much as I can, so that it tells you what you could have done better, in my estimation. And if you miss something. Things that I took marks off for were things like commits. If you only did 1 commit, you lost marks, right? Or 2 commits. That's not enough. You see me making commits all the time, right? So I want you to get into this commit discipline, right? When you add a feature to your app or your code, commit. Make a bug fix, commit. Change something, commit. Keep committing as much as you can. Make valuable commit messages that communicate what you did. Not just to other people, but to yourself. Because we go back and we're like, what did I do here? I want to skip back. Something went wrong. How do I do that? So keep doing those things. And if you miss something, if you actually didn't do one part of the in-class exercise, if I asked you to do, let's say A, B, C, D, each of those things are parts, and you did only A, B, and C, but you didn't do D, you lost marks, right? So that's how it goes. Most people are getting it. They're actually handing in a GitHub repo that works. Most people are giving me YouTube videos. Still, some people aren't giving me title cards. or the title cards flash away within like 1 second, like not even like a second. I see it. It's almost like a hello. It's just there and it's gone. Yeah.
Just what does it count for having the title card if it's like the thumbnail?
If it's a thumbnail.
Should I find a way to work it into the actual video?
I mean, literally, all you do is what I'm doing here, right? We put up you put a PowerPoint slide on with your picture on it. That's your title card. And then what you do is you move away, you minimize your PowerPoint, and then you're into your video. I mean, that's how easy it is. It's not that difficult to do. I don't expect you guys to do like full video publishing, like something flies in and flies out again. I don't need that to happen at all, right? So, all right. So that is kind of the stuff that we're doing today. We're also going to be talking about branching today, which is a new thing for Git. So lots of stuff to cover today, and I'm hoping to get through it all in 3 hours as normal, and give you a chance also to start your in-class exercise. I know it's a tall order, but we're going to try and get everything done, because as always in programming, we have a ton of things to cover and never enough time. All right, so let's get to it. Loops, what are they, and why do we need them, right? So really there are 4 different kinds of loops. We're going to cover a few of them right now, 3 of them. And what loops are, it represents a repeating area of code. So we have a closure, just like we did last time, this little thing here, the curly braces, and it follows typically, or begins, a condition. So this is the condition. So we can say something, we read it like this: while this condition is true, whatever that condition is, right? Keep looping, keep repeating, do this code over and over again, right? Nonstop, forever, until this condition is false. That's how loops work. Okay, it's very simple, like that's in a nutshell how you should expect loops to always work, right? So keep looping forever, right? Keep looping forever until the condition is broken somehow. A good example of that is this: keep looping until an integer number meets a certain value. Like, for example, keep looping until my number is 10. When my number is 10, stop looping. And then when the loop is finished, when you're done, coming back and forth, all you're doing is literally going up and down, up and down, up and down this loop, right? When you're done, it kind of exits at the bottom. So the loop starts at the top, keeps looping over and over again, repeating that code block over and over, and then after when it's done, it exits at the bottom, and then the next set of code after the loop, executes. It's pretty simple stuff. So as you can see now, if you're starting to think about this, think about what we've been doing last week, right? And I have a loop, right? And what I want to do this week is I want to use a loop, this while loop, right, to allow you to try out different characters over and over again, right? It's going to ask you the same thing. Which one do you want? This, this, this. Okay, cool. Are you done? You want to exit? I'm going to ask you that question, and if you say yes, you're going to exit. If not, it's going to go back up to the top and say, okay, give me your character name again. Okay, cool. What about this one? This, this, this. Here's your, here are the stats. Are you happy? If you're happy, cool. If not, let's do it again. And they'll keep doing that forever until you decide to exit. That's what we're going to do today, right? So menus are made this way. In fact, if I want to think about this, games are a big loop, right? Games keep looping over and over again, constantly, right, forever, and until they're done, right? And we can even go further down. The loop that happens is the update loop, okay? I want to update the screen. I want to move an object from one part of the screen to another. How do I do that? I can change its location. So its location is whatever, x, y, z, or x, y from a 2D perspective, and then I move it to x plus 1, y plus 1, x plus 2, y plus 2, x plus 3, y plus 3. And I do that every frame until it looks like it's moving nice and smooth, right? That's all you're doing. You're replacing it, the object in space, right? So it's a loop. So loops happen everywhere, and especially in games. But it's easy for me to talk about this and bore the crap out of you, so you know me. I want to get right into Visual Studio. So let's see if this is going to work for me, because my Visual Studio here is different than the Visual Studio that I had before. So let's try this out. And there's a couple things I also want to do. I want to pull up GitHub, right? So I'm going to go there to GitHub. And I want to talk about today how you're going to use your previous project in GitHub to continue, all right? Last week we just copy pasted a couple things. This week we're actually going to use our previous project, download it, and then we're going to continue from it. So last week we had COMP1115, F2025 ICE 3. If yours wasn't good and you're not confident that you want to start from your version, you can start from my ICE 3. Okay, so that's what I'd like you to do. Start from my ICE 3. I think I'm a little laggy. I'm not sure if you guys see me online, but let's see what happens. Hopefully I'm not too laggy. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff at the same time, and whenever I do that, especially on this little laptop, it gets a bit laggy. So I want to download this, and so there's a couple ways to do this. I can clone it. So if you have your own repo, you can clone your repo, or you can just simply download mine. Okay, I'm going to show you how to clone a repo. Ready? So this is not in the PowerPoint slides. So I want to click on the repo. This is like if I was looking at your repo, what I would look at. Okay, so we have my repo code. This is it. And on the top right, you can see that there is this code button. You should see a code button on your repo. So please go to your repository from last week, ICE 3, to follow through with me. And then what you want to do is this code button, if you click onto it, you can see that there is a clone, right? And it says this kind of thing right here. This is your URI, right? A universal resource, kind of information link, or kind of like a URL, universal resource locator. So it's like this one. They're actually identical. This one just has the HTTPS tacked onto it that you can see, but that's all it is. So we'd have to copy this. Okay, we're going to do that in a second. And then once you copy it, you're going to issue a git clone command, git clone, in a folder that you want this thing to be in. Now remember, if you already have ICE 3 from last week in that folder, you can't put it in that folder. Put it somewhere else. And then we can copy it back into that folder when we change the name of it to ICE 4 later. Okay, just letting you know. So let's do this together. So, so on my folder here, in downloads, I have Georgian. Here's Georgian. And I'm going to make a brand new folder for you guys, because this is another computer I'm using. So I'm going to call this COMP1115, like normal. And for you, you put it in another folder, because you might have in COMP1115 ICE 3, ICE 2, ICE 1 already, right? So here's where I'm going to go. And so what I want to do here is I want to, and I'm just to make it simple, guys, I'm just going to stop pushing up my video on the remote, because you're going to see it on the video itself on YouTube. So I'm going to stop kind of broadcasting on Zoom for a second on my video, okay? Just to increase my performance a bit, because my performance is low, I can tell you right now. All right, so so back to this. So I want to right-click just like we normally did, and I want to open in terminal. That's new, right? Because this is where I'm going to clone my repo, right? So my terminal will open here, and here it is. And one day when it feels like doing its thing. And you can see here that I've got my terminal, and I'm going to issue that git clone command. So it's git clone. Yeah.
I'm not seeing
on your folder. Okay. Okay. So if you're not seeing your terminal, then one way to do it would be, remember the other way, which was you go down to your start button and you type in CMD, and then when CMD comes up, that's the other way. It's going to bring up the command prompt one day when it feels like it for me, as I'm really chugging along here. Here's my command prompt, and then what I want to do is give it this folder as my command. So I want to step out one level so I can see the folder. So here's COMP1115, and then here I'm going to type in on the command prompt CD, which stands for change directory, space, right? So give it a space, and then I want to drag and drop from my folder into my command prompt like so, and then you're going to see this, right? That's the thing. And once we have that, then I can press enter, and I'm in that folder. Okay, so that's the way I got there. So now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to git clone, and just to make it bigger, let's see if I can make this, maybe we can make this bigger, maybe not. Settings, I can. Just so that people at home can see it a little bit better, and so people here can see it a little better, maybe. I don't know. Command prompt, icon, tab title, Let's make it so that the font size is 16. All right. There we go. That might be a bit better. Can you see that better now? Git clone, right? So git clone, and then followed by a space, and then followed by, if I go back to GitHub, I want to grab this link right here. This link, you can grab this link if you want to, but it's this link right here that I want to grab. Copy that, go back to your command prompt and paste it, and then you can see that that is the link that you're going to clone. So if I press enter now, what it's going to do is it's going to go out to GitHub and fetch my my repository. It's actually going to pull my repository into my folder. Okay. So when it does that, again, you have to do this in another folder that your current in-class exercise 3 does not exist in. If you do it in the same folder, it will fail. Okay. So that's one thing you have to do. If I look now at my folder inside of COMP1115, right, then I should see an ICE3. So mine is called COMP1115 F2025 ICE3. I can rename this now, right? So I want to rename that folder to ICE4 because that's where we're starting today. The outside folder should be ICE4 like this, okay? And that is everything that we had last week, just inside of another folder name. Now, if you're not like me and you're outside in another folder, copy this and put it into the folder that you want. You can copy the whole folder or move it, if you will, by dragging and dropping. But you want to put this with all your other stuff, right? Because that's going to be your new folder for today. So very simple. That's what we did. Now I can close this command prompt off. I don't need it right now. And what I can do with ICE4 is double click into it so I can see it. And you're going to see that you have a hidden .git folder, right? Notice that the hidden .git folder is there, right? Again, if you can't see your hidden files and folders, you can do that by going to View. And if you scroll down to Show, you can see that I've got hidden items checked on. If you don't have hidden items checked on, you will not be able to see your Git folder. Now, let me explain what's happened. Not only did we download, you can certainly download and unzip your GitHub repo, or even mine, right? If you do that, you don't get a hidden .git folder. And your commits that you made last week are gone, okay? However, if you do it my way, you get to keep all of your commits. That's what you're going to do. And what we can also do is add to them this week. We can add to them this week by continuously adding our stuff, but also keeping our repository from last week separate, which is pretty cool. So let me show you how to do that. So we have our Git folder. Now we also have this ICE3 SLN. The ICE3 SLN in your folder is actually the ICE3 solution file. That's what it is, right? For Visual Studio. Let's double click on that. The solution file, the ICE3 SLN. Let's double click. When you do, Visual Studio should pop up for you. Here it is. Hopefully I've configured this properly. Again, I'm using a computer I didn't expect to use today, but whatever. Okay. It's taking its time to load. Yours might load a little faster than mine. Mine being a laptop that's a little bit older. What it's trying to do is reform your project. That's what it's going to try and do. As much as possible, it's going to try and reform your project. And it's restoring everything by putting together your project one part at a time until, if I look at the Solution Explorer here, I'm just going to pin this on, you can see that you have your program from last week. So this is the program that we had last week. One day, there it is, chug-a-lug. So that is the program that we had last week, right? We had this, yes.
I still can't get it cloned. It's not working.
Git space clone space
It
and
didn't work. It goes back to another line and goes to the other drive and doesn't clone it.
are you in another drive? Are you in a D drive as opposed to a C drive?
It says D drive.
So C : enter first. I'm just going to stop my webcam. Yeah, so you want to go to C : first. So if I am in that folder, let's say I want to go to this folder up here where you're cloning, right? if I go here, let me use my command prompt again.
Yeah, 'cause I
So,
can't get the terminal open.
no problem.
I got mine open.
That's good. Oh, it's not what I wanted to type. So I got lots of lag happening right here, guys. Bear with me while I do this, and I will, I swear, get into the point where my machine will be functional at some point or another. Come on. All right, let's try that again. So I meant to do this, CMD, and one day when it comes up.
Oh, I'm in G drive.
Right, so the way to switch is to type in the following. If you're in a G drive like this, right, then you want to switch to C drive, C:, and then press enter. C:, enter will change your drive to the proper drive. So for example, if you have multiple drives that you're on your home computer or even on the machine in front of you, you'll move into the machine that you have. Then you can issue that same command. Let's try that same command again. So first of all, you want to do a CD space and then the folder that you want to get into. So my folder would be, again, one more time, it's going to be this one, right? So I want to just drag and drop this folder into here, which gives you the folder structure. This is the folder, right? Then press enter. And then the next command is git clone, and then you want to copy that stuff. Let's copy it. So I'm going to go back out to GitHub. I want to copy this. I'm here. I'm in the code button. I'm going to copy this button, this thing right here. There we go. Then switch back to command prompt and right click and then press enter. By the way, I can do that because I just renamed my stuff to ICE4, so it's okay, right? So I can show you it twice. All right, and when I do that, I have two copies now of ICE3. I have ICE3 and ICE4. I'm going to close this off now, and if I go back to my folder, excuse me, then you should see something like this. Whatever your ICE3 was called, let's suppose it was called ICE3, and now we've made ICE4. But if you already have ICE3, you don't want to put it in this folder because it would try and clobber this one. So you'd have to put it in another folder and then copy or move it in there. All right. Now that we have ICE3, when you named it to ICE4, then all you have to do is double click, like I said, on the SLN file, the ICE3 SLN, which should bring up your Visual Studio like this. It should come up. And then it'll take a second because it'll reform the project back into shape and it'll come to here. So this is our first step. Our first step is we want to double click and bring up Visual Studio, okay? I'm just gonna, for the people in class, or for the people online, bear with me. I'm just gonna check a couple of people in class to make sure they're running okay. I'll be right back.
I have to log in. It's like all logged out.
I'll log yourself in. Yeah. So you want to go view, and then go solution, explore, with that, right there, open that up. No, so expand, we had earlier, what was that? Expand the program. How about everyone else? Everyone else okay?
Mine is okay.
When I open mine, it gives me
It's actually there, it's just that open that up, expand. Expand. Very good. You're good?
Yeah.
Not good? You still got to do your thing. Sorry guys, I'll be right back for the people online. How are we doing? You're good? Okay, wait, stop. One thing is, go back to Visual Studio. Don't go too fast. So now you're going to go to the top left and go to View, and you're going to go to Solution Explorer, the first one. And now, expand S3, please. And then we'll click on Program. So here we go. All right, so now that my people are good, so again, one thing you may have noticed is Solution Explorer for the people online somehow might have been closed like this. So let's suppose you had nothing, right? So there's nothing on here like this, right? And if you had nothing, you won't see this either. You would have seen something like this, like a black screen. Don't be afraid if you see a black screen. If you see a black screen, all you need to do is go to the View menu, and for people here, you're already good. Don't do anything. But if you're people online, you just get to look at Solution Explorer, right? So Solution Explorer will bring this up. The You can pin this up on the right, or you can hide it. So pinning, if you actually have the pin, you can pin it up there so it doesn't auto-hide. And then you might have seen it like this. You need to expand this and then double-click on your program, right, which will bring up the program that you worked on last week, okay? Mine is different than yours, and mine is different than yours because if you remember last week, I tasked you to change stuff, right? So not to worry. So now, what I'm going to do for now is we need to rename this. This is called ICE 3, but yet our program is called ICE 4, right? So we don't want to keep it as ICE 3 because it's weird, right? How do you do that? By the way, it's a bit complicated, but we're going to get through this. Okay, here we go. First part, on the top, there's a solution part, and there's also a project part. There's two parts. There's the solution part, and there's the project part. Okay, if something else pops up, don't worry about it. You can always close it. You know, it's not a big issue. So the solution part we want to rename first. So I want to right-click on the solution, right-click onto it, and I want to scroll down to where it says rename, right here, rename, okay? You can also press F2 if that's easier for you to do, okay? So if I click rename, you can rename this to ICE 4. So that's the first thing, I'm just renaming. So I right-clicked on the solution, and now it's been renamed ICE 4. I also want to do the same thing up here. So to project, I want to right-click here, and I want to rename this when it gives me a chance. You can always place F2 as well to ICE 4. So I can do that too, ICE 4. There we go. So now it looks like those two pieces are ICE 4, okay? There's another piece that says ICE 3, which is up here. Okay, now this be please, I'm going to warn you, for people online and for people here, please be careful with the next step, okay? I'm going to pause here for a second to let everyone catch up because this is important for you guys to see and everything else, okay? So here, if you notice, you have ICE 3 as our configuration, okay? So there's a couple things here. One of them is configure startup projects, and the other one here is ICE 4 debug properties. Let's go to ICE 4 debug properties for a second. And if you notice here, it'll say ICE 3 on the left, right? Let me go show that again. So you guys keep that up for a second. For people who missed it, I went here and I went to ICE 4 debug properties. ICE 4 debug properties. Are you with me? All right. Then you're going to bring up this thing, okay, this thing right here that shows ICE 3. Now I got some questions happening here online. Let's see what we got here. Mine keeps, sorry about that. Just kind of looking at the question. You guys can't see it, but I'm looking at some of the questions online. Bear with me while I look at those because I got those. All right, it looks like okay. Yeah, you can do that. People have gone through. Okay, here we go. So mine keeps giving me an error message. The output window says, Allison, cannot find a part of the path. I think somehow I missed the file. I think some people have, I think the best question for me to ask is, there's a bunch of stuff I missed just now is, are we okay? The people online. If you're okay, if you can put up a thumbs up, please. If you're not okay, maybe an X, that would be good. So I know that you're in trouble, right? So I get a bunch of thumbs up and some people who have not said anything. I'm going to assume that those people are also okay. All right. And let's continue going. So back to here. I pulled this up, and then on the right, there's this little icon, which is rename. So let's rename this, and then just rename this to ICE 4. Okay, ICE 4. And when we do this kind of thing, there is no button, okay? There's nothing to say that, okay, I agree, kind of thing. There's no button like that. If I close this panel up, then suddenly it goes to WSL, okay? This is not anything to do with you. Don't leave it here. What you want to do is select ICE 4, okay? So notice that there is WSL, and you select ICE 4, and if you go there, now it becomes ICE 4. Yes?
Mine came up as ICE 4 right away.
Awesome. That's great. So as long as it says ICE 4 up here, you're good. Are you good?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Anyone not good in class? Yes, what is it?
Every time I try to rename it, it says I have files. gotcha. Okay. Let's see what happens. File cannot be loaded, cannot find cloud users, downloads, program, I score CS cloud. This is fine. Because I renamed that
Wait, in the folder?
Yeah. Oh, that's gone.
So we're gonna fix that now. Leave it like that for now.
All right.
Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Hold on.
I don't know why, but this is just also.
No, you're gonna hit that button.
Okay.
Okay.
I got two.
All right, so you might see this weird thing that says this thing right here, which is WSL is not installed. Install Ubuntu, install Debian, learn more. Just click this little X way over here, okay? If you have that error message that comes up or warning, okay? Okay, so this is step one. Step one, I've done that. Step two, what I want to do is in the program, guys, please pay attention. My friends, in the program, notice that this is also ICE3. This is not good. So what we want to do is right-click, and we want to refactor, if you can, rename. Do you have that option? Refactor, rename? Okay, let's do that again. Here, actually just rename this, just change this to ICE4. How about that? Change it to ICE4, all right? That's important to do. ICE4 should be up top there. Okay, you don't have to refactor anything. There's nothing else that uses it, just this. All right, it has to say ICE4 because if it doesn't say ICE4, then what ends up happening is that your namespace and your project are totally different, and that's bad. Okay, so let's save all. Let's save all. And I don't want you to do anything now. I just want you to close off Visual Studio. So let's close it off, okay? So again, we just named this to ICE4. We named these two to ICE4, and close it off, all right? And then, I know this is so exciting. I know you guys are excited about this, and afraid, I'm sure, too. But don't worry, we can always do this again. Notice that in ICE4's folder, you have this other ICE3 folder. One of my friends already renamed it, right? I want you to rename it now. Okay, so rename this to from ICE3 to ICE4. But I'm going to tell you it's not going to work anymore, right? Because there's another file. There's another file that hunts for the previous files. Okay? So now that we've renamed it here, this solution file, I want you to open it up in Notepad. All right, so I want you to right-click, and I want you to open with and choose some other app, choose another app, okay, and choose Notepad, please. When the selector comes up here, choose Notepad, and press just once. Notepad, just once. When you do, okay, Notepad should appear in a second, and you can see this file that looks like this, okay? Here's this file. And what we want to do is if you look here, all right, it says the project, and look at this. It looks for ICE3 and ICE4. We want to change what it's looking for from ICE3 here to ICE4. All we're doing is renaming it in here, in the Notepad, okay? And once we've done that, if you Control S to save, or you can also go to File Save if you feel like that's easier for you, File Save. And then if you close off Notepad, and now I want you to try and run your solution, please. So double click on the solution. And then what it'll do is it'll bring up Visual Studio. And if you've done those steps, right, as an example, Rebecca says I don't even have an option for WSL. It just automatically went to ICE4. Good. That's good. Yes? You mean this one?
Yes.
Yeah, this error is going to occur because we had our program open and it was being searched for by the other thing. Guess what we're going to do? Just close off this little program right here. I wanted to bring that error up. That's why I wanted to leave it there. Good. And then, because you already changed your stuff, and then double click on program again, and you're going to see that it's going to come up. No problem. All right, so double click or single click and it'll come up. All right. And now, of course, we can't just leave it like this. We must test it so that we know that it works the way it used to. So please click on the plus button here for ICE4. And if everything goes well, then we should launch our project. And it should compile and build. And after it builds, it should run. It's going to take a second because it's going to recompile everything. And you should get your project working the way it did last week. Yes?
It all works, but when I go into COMP1115 and ICE and go to the folder, I still have an ICE3 folder folder and a nice 4 folder. It made a nice 3 folder.
We're gonna fix it. We're going to fix that. All right, so then it should be like this. Like slow as my computer is, as you can see, it's trying to run the code, and then it does this. So then I can still do what I did last week, which is I can put in Tom, I can select something, you know, and then notice that my stuff is missing some things because I asked you guys to do certain things different than me, okay? All right. Are we good? Now I want to get mine up to where yours was, right? Because I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices, but I also had, and I'm just going to bring mine up to speed really quickly so you can understand all the things that you had to do. So last week, what I tasked you to do, and I know that some people are struggling, don't worry about that right now. Last week, what I asked you to do was we had our by the way, these numbers, the reason why it's doing this is because it doesn't understand this. Visual Studio is trying to spell telepath, and it's not knowing what that is. If you get that error, you can always go here, and you can add to user dictionary for this computer. So that way, any kind of word that is not recognized, like telepath or scion, instead of you getting those beautiful squiggles, you can just not get them anymore, okay? So that way it's like, you know, if there's something that's missing, because we've added some new words that it doesn't know, right? All right, so we kind of had that, and I asked you guys to switch this to a switch case. Some of you were successful, some not. So we're going to do this now by hand. So I'm going to bomb it. I'm going to hand bomb it here. I'm going to say this is switch. So I want to switch on, instead of an if statement, I want to switch, and I want to switch on career choice. This is what you should have. So this is kind of a review of your homework from last week. And then I want to put in here, case 1 is what you should have had. So case 1. This is really brutal. Case 1. And then at the bottom of case 1, you should have a break. Okay, so something like this. That's what should be case 1. There's another case here. I'm just going to grab all these, and I'm going to say case 2, and then make a space between these two and add a break. Okay, so that's what I have to do. I'm just bringing my line up to yours, what you had, because I didn't have yours. I have mine, right? And mine looks different than yours, right? So there we go. So that's case 2. That's case 3. I need a break at the end of all of my cases, like you guys had. And here we go. This is case 4, right? And so don't do this. I'm just bringing mine up to yours. This is a break. And this is case 5. Oops. Case 5. I don't want to add any space that I don't need. And we're going to do a break here. And notice mine doesn't have a case 6. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to say case 6. And for case 6, what I did was I took your career and all this kind of stuff here, and I just copy pasted in there. That's what I did. So let's do that, and let's move that out to this to make it the same. And here I just went random for case 6. Some of you decided that random wasn't a good thing. Oh well, right? I kind of had this random, and we'll call it D10 for me, is equal to a new random. That's what we kind of did last week. And here, what I asked you to do was say D10.next, and I want to go from 1 to 11, but I want to do that 5 times. And some people didn't do this. They did weird numbers and some other things. So here is 5 times, right? It's really kind of repetitive. I wonder what we're going to do today to get rid of this. Speaking of loops, right? So there it is. That's my my first one. And what I'm going to do is I want to turn on word wrap because you can see my stuff is, kind of, it's really hard to follow. So how do you turn on word wrap? I'm going to go to Tools. I recommend this for you guys too. And go to Options. Go to Tools and Options so you can see everything. Tools, Options. And then if you scroll down, you can see that there are a bunch of different things. But one thing we want to open up is our text editor for C#, right? And you can see that when I go text editor C#, if I click word wrap and press OK, then what it does is it word wraps all this stuff. So what it does is, if the line is too long, it adds this little mark right here that looks like a little arrow. Doesn't change anything, it just makes it visible to us so I don't have to scroll anymore, okay? So that you can see that there are 5 cases of the next. So die next 1 to 11, die next 1 to 11, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, hold on a second, please. And then I want to copy paste these. So I want to do this. And I want to do that a bunch of times because I want all of my ability scores to have random numbers, right? That's what I want to have, right? That was the exercise that I asked you guys to do. I'm just going to kind of do this so you can see it. It's messy, but it works. Okay, and at the end, of course, I want a break statement. Okay, and then one last case before I come and answer questions and stuff like that is the default case. So this is the default case, which is like your else, console write line, blah, 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 blah. We're going to say this. And then some kind of break statement, right? Now, one thing we have to say is in the default case, we have to say that hash career chosen is false. We said that. So we're going to say that there. So this would be false, because the career chosen is not true. And what we're going to do also is we're going to do a read key. That's what I did, a console.read key. This is what you should see as well, true, where I also have a another message that says something like, run the code again, something like that. So I'm just going to kind of go over here for a second. So I'll say, press any key to exit is okay, actually. Okay? So that's what this is going to be. Press any key to exit. Now, if chosen career is true, that's the only time we're going to show this part. This is correct. And then read key, press any key to continue. We're going to say, that's what that is. So these are good things. I also want to console clear and all this stuff. So basically what I've done is I've recreated, for the most part, what your project should be. Let's test my project, just make sure that it's okay. It may not be. I mean, I just literally wrote it in one blow here. So maybe I made some kind of syntax error or something else, right? But if it's not, then we should see something that is looking like this. If I say Tom and if I say random 6, then I get random numbers that look like this. So you can see that is accurate, right? Pretty good roll, actually. And if I press any key to continue, it's good. Let's also make it fail, because you want to try both cases, my friends. You want to try it so that it fails. It doesn't work anymore, right? So I want to make it fail. There's a couple ways I can make this fail, right? So one way I can make it fail is if I press 7. That's not a button that I care for, and then it'll say you entered the wrong choice. That's one way. And the other way it can really make it fail, we're going to fix this today, is if I say something like my choice is like A instead of a number. Like, for example, if I go here, and instead of using a number, I just put the letter A or some garbage like this. Then it will really fail, right? It'll actually crash my code, right? So that'll be, bad, right? I'm going to fix that today with you. All right, so we're not going to allow the program to crash. All right, so now, are you all with me? Damien, you good? Yeah.
So when we went into tools and did all that stuff, I didn't find the option.
Well, you go to this. If you didn't find the option as tools, let's say again, you go to options, and then you go to text editor or editor. You might see something like editor in yours. C#. And if you click on C# and you go to general, you might see word wrap. Right? That's what you're going to turn on. Okay, and you turn on that word wrap, and then it does this so that we don't, we don't have to scroll. And you can see these little word wrap singles over here. Okay, so now that we have everything up to date, yes?
Wait, could you scroll down a little bit? I'd like to see how to switch them works.
This is the switch case, right? This is the switch case, and then we come to here, right?
Okay.
All right, so now you can see that I've got all this noise. I'm just going to make it smaller so you can see what it would look like small, like from a far away. You know, this is what it would look like normally. So I'm going to show you the form. This is the shape of your code. Your shape of your code should look like this, something like this, okay? If it looks slightly different than this, that's okay. Maybe you had another, instead of die, you used random, or some of you use like capital R for random, that's fine. Whatever you use, but it should look like this, okay? That is the random choice. If you didn't put this in, you lost marks. If you didn't make your random choice work. If you didn't use switch case, you lost marks, okay? So you lost marks to those two. But that's what I was expecting from last week. The default case is right here, okay? All right, so now back to you guys. Are we together? Is everything the same way? Does mine look like yours, or around mine look like yours? Okay, so this is what you should have had last week, and I wanted to show you this because I always wanted to review a little bit of homework with you guys, because just doing the code or showing you the code as opposed to showing you how I did the code, I wanted to show you how I got there, and that's why I did this. But now we got to put this up on GitHub, right? And we have a problem, because if I go to View, let's do this together. Go to View, and then go to Terminal, please. All right, that'll be the terminal that's built into Visual Studio. If you go to Terminal, we have a remote already. If I type in the following command, git remote -v, right? You're going to see that your remote, if you'd cloned your repository, if you did not download it, and if you cloned it, your remote is pointing to the wrong thing. It's pointing to the previous thing. You don't want to update ICE 3. You want to update ICE 4. We don't have an ICE 4. We never made that yet online. Let's make an ICE 4 first. So up online, let's do this, right? I'm going to go to GitHub, right? And what I want to do is I want to make a brand new folder. I'm just going to sign in. So I'm going to sign into my GitHub. You can sign into yours if you need to do that. Or if you're already in, that's awesome. It's going to ask me for two-factor, of course, as yours should, if you're signing in from a weird place, like I am. Okay. Once I'm signed in, then I'll be able to go back to my repositories account, the main, kind of dashboard, and make a new repository like normal. You've done this several times, so I'm just going to do it again. I'm just going to click New. And in here, yours will look different than mine. I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see yours will look like probably like this, where your name is here and the repository name is there. Mine, I'm using a organization, so mine's going to look like this. That's fine. And now we're going to make it so that I'm going to make a new repository. This is the same process we've done every week. Okay, nothing different. So COMP1115 in the fall 2025 semester, and it is ICE 4, right, is what we want to put in. And I'm not going to do anything different. I'm just press enter, and that's going to create a new repository for you guys. Make sure it's private. That's what you need to do. And make sure you add me as a collaborator. I'm not going to tell you how to do that today. You should know how to add me as a collaborator by now, okay? Hopefully you can manage that. Okay, next, you're going to get some steering instructions over here, like normal. Notice these 3 steering instructions. Let me talk about them for a second. The first one sets up the the remote connection. The remote connection is the connection between your local repository and GitHub. Remember, I'm just repeating myself so you guys are clear about this, right? That's the remote. And it basically says add the origin remote. So remote add origin, that's the name of the remote. And then it's going to do this, right? And then branch renames the branch to main. That's what it does, and pushes it to main. But we can't do this yet because we already have a remote, right? Our remote is already called origin. So what do we have to do? Remove it. That's what we have to do. So going back to Visual Studio, please. Here's the command to remove the remote. Ready? Please pay attention to this one. Okay, if you're behind, I need you to look at this, take a snapshot. If you're at home, take a picture if you're here. But you need to know how to do this because this is how it's going to be done. You're going to do the following command. Git remote remove origin. Git remote remove rm origin with spaces in between all those things. Git space remote space rm space origin, and then press enter. If you do, it's going to remove the remote. That means the connection you had to ICE 3 is gone. It's over. That connection is missing. Finito. Right? Sayonara. It's deleted. Okay. Now, what we want to do is, after we've got that, if we remove the remote, right, you're failed. Oh, Rebecca. I'm going to have to help you out. Yes.
Okay, so do I have to add like the fetch and push things?
Yes, we're going to do it right now. We're going to go back to this, and we're going to copy this, right? And we're going to go back to Visual Studio's terminal and right-click, and then press Enter. And what this is going to do is it's going to move my remote and push to my new repository, ICE4. Okay, that's what it's going to do. Okay, you're good. If it doesn't complain.
I just felt like that.
Okay, so yes, all I did was I went like this. I said remove origin, and then I just right-clicked from my repository. My repository gave me some steering instructions. I copied this, and I went back here and right-clicked, and then I pressed Enter, and then what it did was it pushed to my new remote, my ICE4. That's where it goes to, okay? So let's test ICE4. Let's go back to my ICE4 remote, my GitHub repo, and see if it's there. So let's go there. So back to here. Here's my repo for ICE4. If I refresh, then I got it. Look, it's here, except my folder says ICE3. What the hell?
It does not say that.
Yours might say ICE4.
Mine doesn't say anything actually.
Mine says ICE3. What did I push? Where am I? Right? Well, let's take a look at this and see what I did wrong. You might have done things differently than me, right? And maybe I looked in the wrong folder. No, I'm here. It says ICE4, right? And I know why. I know why. It's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's good because I never did a commit. That's what I never did. I just copied what I had before. So copy what it knew. Here we go. Here's the new commit. Ready? I'm just going to clear the screen, and here's the new commit. Git add dot, right? Git commit minus M, and we're going to put something in there like added project files for ICE4. That's what we're going to put in here. Added project files for ICE4. It's going to rename everything. Notice all the folders are going to be renamed now. And git push. And when I do that, if I push up and if everything goes well, then if I go back to my remote repository online and if I refresh, you're going to see now it's going to look proper, right? So again, what I did was, let me go back and review. I said, hey, listen, I have to do a couple things here. I had to clear the screen, and then I had to add dot. Yes, you have to do git commit. There we go. And I just did a commit that says added project files for ICE4, and then I pushed. So what did I do here? I did this because I'm just going to come on the camera again for the people at home, so we can see my expressions. I'm so expressive today. So it's okay. We're gonna go back to fix you in a second. We're going to take a short break in a second, and we're going to come back, and we're going to fix everybody, okay? So what I did was, you know, the most important thing here is that we've just changed things up. We've come from ICE3, and we're moving to ICE4, and the way we did that was we did a couple steps here. We were able to clone ICE3, change some stuff in Visual Studio, right? And then we close Visual Studio down, you know, change the folder name, and then launching Visual Studio again. These are the steps. You have to go into your PowerShell, which is what we did, and we removed the remote. That's what we did. After we removed the remote, we added it in again by going to create a new repository online, right? And once we've added those things, then we should be golden. Now, the problem was that I had ICE3 in my folder structure, not ICE4, and that's because my previous commit did not include the new folders. I had to rename them, and I never made a new commit. And that's why online it showed ICE3 instead of ICE4. Okay, so that's why I did these three commands. Git add dot, git commit minus M, this is for you, Damien. Added project files for ICE4, and then git push. Huh?
Not that part. I didn't even, there was something before that.
Okay, I'll come and check you out in a second. All right, now, if you're with me, then everything has been renamed. Everything has been renamed, and it's up online. One thing that's missing, because I haven't got a lot of invitations, is some of you, for whatever reason, forgot that you have to add me as a collaborator. So first, two things. Make sure your project is private, and please go up on GitHub and add me as a collaborator. Please do that now, because you're going to forget. And then when I check your ICE4, it's not going to be accessible. I can't access it. And you're going to get 0, right? I don't want to give you 0. So please go here and add me as a collaborator. You do that by going here to collaborators, and then going down to add people, and then search for me. So you can type in my first few letters, like this, several letters here, and then you'll find me, and once you do that, you add me as a collaborator. That's what you do. I will get an invitation, and when I do, I will respond to it, and then I will be part of your team, okay? So that's what it is. What I want to do now, let's see how many invitations I got. I didn't get many, guys. That means either some of you aren't doing it, or you're behind. I got David's, and that's it. So I need you guys to kind of please go up, and I need you guys to include me as a collaborator right now. Okay? If you don't include me as a collaborator, I won't get the message, and bad things will happen. Okay? So please do that now.
I sent you one a little bit ago.
No.
It says you're pending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what's going on, but I'm not getting it right now. So who knows? All right. So as long as you enter the right person, it's pending. Excellent. Thank you for that, Connor.
I sent the invite.
Excellent, excellent. So let's take a short break, and when I come back, we'll continue with today's lesson. But this is the first part of your in-class exercise 4. You need this part. It's actually worth marks, what we just did. We need marks. We need to kind of do this together. And this is the first part of ICE 4. If you follow along and you got this part done, then you've already got something that's worthy of marks just by renaming your project and putting it up, okay? Let's stop recording now and continue when I come back.